Hello, Dr. Brant Hulsebus here, and welcome to another edition of Ask the Chiropractor. Ask the Chiropractor is my little podcast that I do when someone has a question about chiropractic or chiropractic care. I try to answer. I'm a chiropractor here in Rockford, Illinois. I'm a proud graduate of Palmer College of Chiropractic, and I'm happy to be the team chiropractor of the Rockford Ice Hogs. Let's dive into it. Thank you for joining us. We're going to continue talking about this path that we're on this month, about getting a second opinion. So let's say you've been to your doctor, medical doctor or osteopath or something like that, and you went there with an ailment, a complaint, a health concern, and they did an exam on you. Maybe they took some imaging, x-rays, MRI. Maybe they sent you up to a specialist. Maybe you started with your family doctor or a walking clinic, and they sent you to the next level of doctors. Maybe you've been to a pain specialist, and maybe they've given you a course that they believe is going to help you. They tell you, we're going to give you an injection. Maybe start some physical therapy. Maybe talk even about surgeries. And maybe you have a little hesitation about this. Maybe you want to inquire more of different options and different choices. A common error in the system happens if you ask that person about chiropractic. If you ask your family physician about chiropractic. If you ask an orthopedic doctor about maybe trying chiropractic. If you ask a physical therapist about chiropractic. If you asked whoever in the healthcare system, the medical system, their opinion about whether or not they should consult a chiropractor on this also. And this is something that this podcast began about because I've learned working with these different healthcare providers that very few of them actually understand what I do and how I do it. I've had some doctors of osteopath, DOs, not MDs, but DOs. A lot of times you don't know if you're seeing an MD or a DO. But I've had a DO come up to me and tell me, I understand what you do. I do a lot of what you do. I'm a DO. And as soon as we start talking and getting involved in the case and talking about what I do and what I don't do, why I do this, why I do this, and they quickly learn they don't really know what I do. They might know how to manipulate a joint, but they do not understand chiropractic whatsoever. Happened to me all the time. Now, why do I say this? Why do I have this experience? I've been the team chiropractor for many teams. I've been in the same room with them. We had meetings together. We coincide. We work together with all kinds of healthcare providers. And a lot of them come up to me and start talking to me as if some of them are very curious about what I do and want to learn more what I do. And I love that. I love being able to sit down with them, show them that, explain them things that I do. But others have that attitude that they already know what I do and they don't really care what I do and they don't follow what I do. And then they start watching me because we share space. They start watching me taking care of the players. And they know the player has this issue and they see me take care of the player and they see the player get really satisfied. And they see the player says, instead of following up with that doctor, can I follow up with this doctor, the chiropractor instead? Then they start asking the medical doctor questions about what I did. They said, hey, I noticed the chiropractor did this and this. What's going on with that? And they quickly learn they don't really know what I found and what my exams were because we use orthopedic tests as chiropractors, but we also do a lot of chiropractic exams and they're not taught those. So I'm having you turn your head and I'm having you measure your feet length and I'm having you lift the leg, don't bend the knee and stuff like that. None of that's taught in medical colleges or osteopath school. That's all taught in chiropractic schools. So they really don't know what we're doing. So let's say that you've been down this path. Let's say you've been at the doctor and maybe you got something on your lower back, maybe something in your neck, maybe something, completely not on top of the spine, but maybe you've seen an article online about chiropractic help somebody with that. Maybe because you're searching for this on your computer or your phone, and maybe because you typed in chiropractic, the algorithm now is sending you information on chiropractic and whatever that and is, whatever it is that's bothering you, carpal tunnel, maybe it's headaches, maybe it's GI issues, maybe it's fertility issues, maybe it's all these different issues. And now you're starting to see little things pop up on your social media about chiropractors helping people with this, helping people with that. And then you go back to your doctor, you say, hey, I've seen all this stuff. What do you know about chiropractic and this. And my point is, but that is that they don't know how to answer that from my experience with my hands-on. So you have to ask a chiropractor. So you have to call and make an appointment with a chiropractor. Now, how do you find the chiropractor that maybe you want to see the area that specializes in you? Let's say you have fertility issues. How do I see a chiropractor that specializes in fertility issues? That's when you go to the chiropractor's website and you look at it. And you look to see if they do that or not. And myself, I've taken classes on pediatrics. I've certified taking care of pregnant women. So I've done a lot of that. But there's chiropractors that specialize, let's say, in upper cervical care where they only adjust the top bone in the neck. While I have experience with that, I am not a certified upper cervical practitioner. So there's even some people I've referred to an upper cervical practitioner because they have a more advanced case. So then you look that up, you find that. Now, maybe you find an upper cervical chiropractor that only adjusts the C1 neck and you have a sports thing. You probably don't want to see that one. You want to see somebody else who does the whole sports thing because they don't do that. They specialize in something else. So go to the individual chiropractor's website and do some research on them to see what their website tells you, the kind of patients they see. If they don't have a website that tells you they haven't stayed up with things, I would move on. So on top of that, so there's a great option. You can also usually email the office and say, I'm dealing with this and this. Is this the type of patients that the chiropractor takes care of? But do us a favor when you come for that consultation. Bring your records. There's a thing with patients today that they believe that all the healthcare systems are interlinked. So if I go to this clinic and I have x-rays taken, then I go see the specialist, they can pull up my x-rays right there. If I go to this clinic and have an MRI taken, then I go see my doctor. My doctor has my MRIs right there. And that's true because part of the Affordable Care Act that came out a while ago, that they wanted everybody to interlink and be able to get information. But majority of chiropractors were left out of this. We were told we had to join, we asked to join, we tried to join, and we were told no. So we don't have your records. We don't have access to that like your other healthcare providers do because they're not letting us be part of that system. So when you go to the chiropractor, bring your x-rays with you, bring your MRI with you, bring that stuff with you so we can see and actually have the conversation. It's happened here all too many times. Somebody comes in for the first time and they say, I just had x-rays on my back. Do we have to do them again? And I said, no, do you have them with you? No, I don't. And I said, okay, we have to see those before I can take care of you for patient safety reasons, if nothing else. And then they get a little upset with me because I don't have the direct access to them. So get your records. Now, how do you get your records to take to the chiropractor? Well, there's many different ways you can do it. One way, which is not the best way, but a lot of us can log in and see our charts now with the healthcare system. The problem with that is you can't always see the image, right? You can't always see the x-ray. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. If you can see it and you can download it, put it on a thumb drive or be able to email to the chiropractor ahead of time, and the chiropractor can tell you, yes, that works. We can use this. If it's only like a little image and we probably can't see what we want to see on that image in order to give you the diagnosis and the care we want to. Now, a lot of times doctors will tell my patients, I'll give you the x-ray report. That's all the chiropractor really needs. And that's totally wrong. That's just totally wrong. That's a portion of what we need, right? And that's the part that they need, right? But that's not the part that we need. We need to actually see the alignment. We want to see how you look in a weight-bearing position. We want to see your posture and stuff like that. And we do a much deeper dive into that and a much more analyzing your spine than they do for their x-ray reports. So an x-ray report's nice. Like it's nice for me to look at and see you don't have a tumor, you don't have this, you don't have that, nothing's broken. That's fantastic. But it doesn't help me get the big picture. Because usually the person who doesn't bring me their x-rays on the report, they look at me and say, how many times do I have to come? How many visits does it take? I can't see your disc heights. I can't see your alignment. I can't see the overall health of your spine. I don't know how big the osteophytes, the little arthritis areas have grown or where they've grown or what's going on with them just by an x-ray report. So I can't even answer that for you. I also can't tell how severe your curve is without the x-ray. So that's impossible for us to answer. So we want to actually have the x-ray. So you could ask your physician's office to send a copy of the x-rays to the chiropractor. You can do that either at the front desk or you can do that when the procedure is being done. A lot of times today when you go to the doctor's office, they ask you, is there anywhere else you want to send your records to? And you just go ahead and write your name down. I have several patients that have all their records sent to me every time they go to any doctor's office because they know if they want to get them, a lot of times it's easier to ask me than the giant hospital. So you can do that for sure. But let's say you weren't thinking about chiropractic, like you walked in with this shoulder issue, you never thought about a chiropractor till the doctor says, let's do complete surgery, maybe a reversal, and maybe now you want to see what your other options are, but you've already had all that done. You can still request the records to be sent. Or simpler even than that. You don't have to do anything as far as trying to go and get your records. You can call a chiropractor and say, I'd like to have a consultation about my case. I've had x-rays and exams done somewhere else. Now, if you stop by the office, or today's world, we can do electronic signatures. We can request those sent to us. Then when we get those, we can call you, and then we can set up a consultation. So if you don't want to go get your x-rays and your exams and your MRIs, you don't have to, but you have to sign legal paperwork from me so I can send over the request, and then they have to send them to me. They have to send them to us. It's part of the laws, the federal laws, that they have to cooperate with record requests. So when we ask for records, they have to send them to us. There's no issues there. Now, some people are like, I don't want my doctor to know I'm going to the chiropractor. And if that's the case, I think that's just sad. Because today we all should be working together. We all should be cooperating. I've said it many times. I would never go to a medical doctor that told me not to go to a chiropractor. And I would never go to a chiropractor who told me never to go to a medical doctor. It goes both ways. So if they're not willing to work and talk to each other and cooperate or get mad at you for getting another advice, then I just question who you're working with. I've sent many of my patients over to orthopedic doctors to get advice too, to get their opinion, just to see what their options are. And I'm really known for telling people that if you want to go to an orthopedic doctor, I can set the appointment up for you to get more opinions and more options. But this is what we're going to do. And I would ask you not to ask the orthopedic doctor about what I said, because they don't understand what I do, nor will I do the opposite. I'm not going to sit there and tell you the orthopedic doctor is crazy. I don't think you should do this. I'm not an orthopedic surgeon. I would not do that. So again, the best way to get a consultation is to bring your records in, your MRIs, your x-ray reports, bring them to the chiropractor, let the chiropractor look at them. Now, sometimes we might have to take some more than just your records, but most chiropractors should be able to use your records. Now, 20 some years ago when I first started practice, a lot of x-rays were taken when the patient was laying down. Those we can't use. You have to be standing up in order for us to see your posture and weight-bearing positions. But I've noticed more and more that the orthopedic doctors are agreeing with us today on the idea of weight-bearing position being better. They're actually trying to invent MRI machine technology now where you're in a weight-bearing position to get a better imaging of what the MRI has to say. Did you know that an MRI when you're laying down versus an MRI when you're standing up, the disc boulders and stuff can change? New literature just came out on PubMed demonstrating that. So we're all agreeing more and more than ever in the history of chiropractic and medicine on the way to take imaging so we can both share the same imaging. There you have it. If you have questions about whether or not chiropractic care can help you, you definitely only can ask a chiropractor. But you can take your records from the medical doctor and bring that in, allow them, and the x-ray of your spine is an x-ray of your spine. It doesn't matter who takes it. We can use the same x-ray majority of the time. So go ahead and bring your records in, set up a consultation. If you don't have them with you, get the records and have the chiropractor call you back when you get the records. That's how we do it in my office. You would either stop in or let us send you the form. You'd sign it, get the form back to us. We'd send the form and ask for your records. Then once we have your records, then we can sit down and have a conversation. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in and listening. If you have questions about chiropractic or chiropractic care, make sure you reach out, and maybe next time you'll be the question of the week. Thank you.